Thank you so much, Splurge. Enzaikur, here we go. Thank you for the follows. Right, hang on, let me turn you up a little bit. What's good?
Was good.
Oh, what is that? That is your current...
Yeah, I don't have Imgur, I only have Kaiezo.
Okay. Oh, and this is like an album too? How can I navigate this? It moves it up and down.
I don't think it's an album.
Okay. What are these pictures? Oh, shouldn't scroll down. These are the 8 you have? Oh no, you have 10, right?
Yeah, I have a Demon Avenger and Adele.
Okay, a Demon Avenger and Adele. Okay. And they're... What level are they? Adele is just memeing around?
Adele, and then Demon Avenger 70 for the link skill.
Okay. Okay. So in general, okay, let's see. How are we going to tackle this? So you started playing and you didn't really know what to play at all. You decided to pick an Ilium.
Yep.
How was that for you?
I enjoyed it for the most part. I did not like how squishy it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is what pushed me off leveling past 200.
So the thing is with squishiness, that is a thing that eventually goes away. Arcane power allows you to take less and less damage from monsters that are arcane power monsters, until eventually you just only take 1 damage per hit anymore.
Okay.
So squishiness is, for like 95% of this game, like a temporary thing. And then once you hit those benchmarks, that does go away. So, and the same thing with Star Force. Like Star Force monsters have certain requirements as well, right? With how much Star Force you need to be able to deal full damage. But then you take less damage as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at those points you will start feeling less squishy. The thing that I did have, though, with Ilium that you probably are also mentioning in this is that, like, after an attack, there's, like, a while when potions just don't register at all, and you need, like, auto HP to even get health at all. Yeah, that's, I say that's a downside, but it's not necessarily, like, a complete deal breaker, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe you play something like maybe Kana and then notice how strong it could be. Having any kind of comparative stuff can sometimes... Well, you don't have a Kana. Okay. Keep it that way. Because you're kind of...
Yeah, I'm avoiding... I'm not making Kana no matter what.
You're never going to be able to go back. I mean, I'm not like on some anti-Kana binge, but it is tough to play it and then go back to something else. It is... Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've taken advantage of all the burning, and you burned an Ark, but you're remaking that for... You want to make sure, like, what do I remake it for?
Yeah.
What can have a good chance of giving me happiness and fun, and can have a good future in the game that I can enjoy?
Exactly.
All right. So what were the... So besides the squishiness of the Ilium, was there anything else that you're like, ugh?
Kind of just the HP. Like, I know that's part of squishiness, but I think my Kinesis at level 158, I want to say, has more HP than a 200 Ilium.
Mm-hmm. And you have that that thing that requires you to you take like less damage when it consumes like one PP or something.
Psychic shield.
Yeah. And Ilium's kind of got the same thing, right? Where it consumes one of those charges to take a little bit less damage.
It's not the Umbral charge, it's the other one. The blue one.
Yeah, the blue one, yeah. Yeah, my Ilium knowledge is a little bit dusty. I'm gonna say that I got that 200 and then never touched it with a 10-foot pole again.
That's kind of what happened with me. I just made a Kinesis after that.
Yeah. It's like, which other mage can I do that actually doesn't die to everything? Yeah. But yeah, so once you get past that, the squishiness can basically be gone, and especially for bosses as well. Most of the bosses deal percentage HP damage, which means that whether you have 500 HP or 5 million HP, you'll still die at the same speed. As weird as that sounds.
Yeah.
The only exception there is like with familiars and how much that heals, but typically they also heal percentages, so it should come down to pretty much the same thing. But then again, with bossing, it doesn't have a super bright future. So what kind of stuff are you generally gravitating towards? Like what kind of role in games? What kind of content? More PvP, more bossing, more PvE? Like
in a game that isn't MapleStory,
Yeah.
usually like raiding and PvP.
Okay. So how about in MapleStory that doesn't have either of those things?
I guess just one thing is a really good mobber. Like Ilium was a solid mobber.
Mm-hmm.
But bossing, I don't really do that much. Besides Magnus, Hilla, and then just Horntail and Zachem. That's all I did.
Okay. But you were able to do those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have
I'm not
some.
great at using the stacks to get in like iframes though.
Yeah, that's Well, at least they changed it, right? The way Ilium was in the past is you would only get your extra rank of attack speed when you hit max stacks as well. So you'd constantly be losing it every time you hit, and you'd be like slowing down, speeding up, slowing down, speeding up. So they moved the extra rank attack speed, I think, to your mastery skill now.
Okay, I'm gonna log in.
So they used to be in like max stacks as well, and that was very which is bad. You're constantly gaining it, losing it, and it was very inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're looking for someone who's like a solid mobber, maybe similar, because you seem to be looking at the mages. And do you care when you're bossing if you're like more supportive or more with the burster, or what type of role do you typically?
I usually like in other games I like healers and support.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having some sort of support, not like beast tamer level support, but some sort of party utility, even though I do everything solo.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have the options. And you typically gravitate towards mages?
Not always.
Not always.
Like I pretty much will avoid any of the archers in the game, though none of them are interesting to me.
Archers are in a league of their own.
I also, like, it's a weird thing with classes with me. I like really, really obscure classes.
Mm-hmm.
Like ones that aren't just your bread and butter sword person, magic person.
But generally not archers?
Yeah, generally not archers.
Okay. Because I don't know how your experience was with Mercedes.
I hated it.
I hated it too. And then when you get 5th, it actually... For me, when I reached 5th, it actually became really fun. 5th job is very solid. They have high potential for burst. They have really good mobbing. There's some like 275 Mercedeses out there, like that's doable. And they do also have a decent amount of debuffs on bosses that allows you to get some party utility as well. You're basically just debuffing it for yourself, but other party members also deal more damage to the target because you debuffed it. So that does hit some of the boxes. But yeah, there is the 200 levels of that you have to go through. But once the character gets somewhat funded and you like rotate between your 5th job skills, I thought it actually was pretty fun.
Okay.
But it would have to be something, maybe like looking into some videos of like high level Mercedes training or something. If you can see that could be something that you would want to do. Yeah, Lumi seems like an option as well, but that doesn't really have, I don't think, any utility towards parties. Yeah. But it does have a good balance between mobbing and bossing, I would say.
Okay.
Especially if you're more soloing stuff. It definitely can do those things now with its 5th job. And it's the... Guys, what is the new Lumi? Oh yeah, the extra orbs that are like flying around.
Oh. I should probably look at every job, or every class's 5th job. That might help.
Yeah, because you're making some long-term decisions, right?
Yeah.
And you want to see what they already have and what that is missing. And then the fourth fit job skills that were released were, of course, like some of those are still subject to change, right? Because they're only coming out on July 23rd, so that's still like almost like 3 weeks, 4 weeks away. And even until KMS gets them. Once KMS gets them, they'll pretty much be set in stone for us. But until then, there's still room for some speculation, of course. Some skills might just completely change still.
Yeah.
It happened before, like the bishop skill, the third V. I don't know if you know, generally like acquainted with the skills. But basically you send forward like some kind of thing, and then you press the button again for it to explode, and it does damage around it. And if there's team members in there, then they get a damage bonus. And like when they first released it on KMS TSP, it worked completely differently. You were basically just sending that thing out everywhere, and it was just like doing damage as it went. And it was like they were trying to make it an extra attacking skill, but now it's mainly like an extra buffing skill during burst. So the functionality of the skill completely changed in between. So that's probably still going to happen to a few skills. But yeah, that's all. We just have to wait another 4 weeks until that's all confirmed, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so prefer mobbing. Definitely the option of bossing. Some team capability would be nice, but it's not super important because you generally solo most things.
Yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to, so you don't want to be super squishy, but like I said, like squishiness for most things is temporary when it comes to just your HP and surviving when you're mobbing. Real like tankiness and survivability in bosses is when we're talking about people who just have a bunch of iframes, who have a bunch of damage mitigation, which just means that like portion of the damage doesn't go through, and therefore you can just survive big hits that other people would die from. Maybe major amounts of lifesteal, the ability to teleport or stay in the air for a super long amount of time, totally, negating damage that's going on below you. But most of these things really depend on how far in the game you go. And as a new player, it's very tricky to be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to go to the level of like hard will, but then not beyond. Like it's kind of tricky to to make that judgment. I don't know if you have any bosses that you desperately like, this is definitely something I want to be able to reach, or if it's just like, I'll see as I go.
I gotta look at the boss list, because I know there's one.
Okay. There's one that you're like, I gotta destroy this one.
Yeah, I think the big one for me, this is gonna sound dumb, but it's Lucid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nowhere near that skill level even in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm used to just zack him, throw my Ilium orb, and just blow it up in one hit.
Yeah.
That's the extent of my bossing experience.
Well, that's how it starts, right? And then they start introducing more and more difficulties, and Hela does like some weird stuff with some cages sometimes with your positioning, and then Horntail does extra buffs on himself that you have to look out for, and that you might even get reflect or defenses. Some parts of the body might even seduce you, some do more damage. Then they slowly just introduce more and more bossing elements that'll make it so that you have to really start looking out more. And then once you know these elements and you've mastered these, then you can go to more and more difficult ones. But I think for most people, being able to be in a party for normal Lucid, and then if you blow past those levels and you upgrade past those levels, being able to do hard Lucid runs, especially now that her HP was nerfed in the last patch, I think is a reasonable goal. Given the necessary amount of time, of course, to get to that point. But I think is definitely a goal that most people can reach. Definitely normal.
Yeah.
Like hard might be too much, but with given more time, there is definitely the ability to move into that, because Lucid is low level, so you don't even have to be like insanely high level. At that point, it's more having enough arcane power, having your hyper stats, your boost nodes leveled, all of that stuff. Your Legion at a decent point.
Yeah.
There's also a good way to get your Legion leveled is not knowing what you want to main, because then while you're shopping around, eventually you just end up with a huge Legion and a lot of link skills available.
Yep.
But you're slowly finding that. Yeah?
Really want to do Pink Bean. I've wanted to do that since I was a child playing the game.
Mm-hmm. He was like one of the big bosses that was always there, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What is the Ilium 5th job? It's like an extra orb, An extra
It's
robot?
it's crystalline spirit, so basically you throw your orb somewhere, use the ability, and it leaves an extra orb there, and then you can move your actual orb. And I think you can do that 2 times.
Oh yeah, it's like up to 2 stacks or something, and they build up stacks over time or something, right?
Yeah, let me pull up my 5th job.
And I think the other one's like a big robot.
Yeah, it's Templar Knight. It's just you plop it down and it faces the direction you're in. And then the last one, or the last 2 technically, are Crystal Ignition and the reaction that comes with that. So basically you throw your orb, you use Crystal Ignition, which is a giant beam, and then the reaction...
it scatters or something?
Yeah, it just sends like waves out forward.
Oh, okay. And then if you combine that with the other balls, it like chain reacts into...
Yeah, I'm assuming
bunch of
so. I
shit.
haven't tried that.
That was, yeah. And Ilium's 4th is the portal. Don't forget about that one. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I see them reworking that, honestly. I mean, the damage buff is definitely not bad. Like having a permanent, what is it, 35% damage increase like all the time. It's not horrible, but there's definitely some better things that could be could be done, I think. But yeah, it's still subject to change, so hopefully they make something cool out of that. They probably got a bunch of feedback that's telling them like, hey, can you maybe make this not so shit?
From like the 5 Iliums in Korea.
Yeah. Well, apparently it's pretty hot or cold. Apparently people who are Ilium, a lot of them actually like the skill and like the ability to get the extra mobility. But the most people who are like shitting on the skill are not even Ilium, so...
Yeah.
At that point, you gotta wonder. Like, I mean, we can laugh at it all I want, but if Iliums that are playing it actually think it's a good addition to their kit, then who are we to knock it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but so you're still enjoying Ilium. If the main and only problem is like the HP and the squishiness, then that can be overcome. But there is definitely a mountain to climb because you're starting from like way back. Everyone is starting from the, like sea level, and you're starting from like underwater. And then eventually we'll get to the peak where everyone takes 1 damage, but you're just starting in a slightly shittier position. Yeah, there's sources of getting extra HP to make it a little bit better, but you definitely need the auto HP, I think. Otherwise, it's just not really playable.
Yeah, I also, like, now that I'm playing it more, just doing bossing, I'm realizing how clunky it kind of is. Like, it wasn't that bad when I played it, but going back to it, I'm just sitting there like, how did I get this to 200?
Yeah, that can... Yeah, I get that. How are you with the... Because do you know if attack speed is, like, very important for Ilium?
I think it's a little bit important. It's pretty much just the speed you send out your spear to do reaction skills.
Okay. Yeah, clunkiness can grow on, like, can fester. Like, even people who made Lumi for a long time were like, oh god, this is so bad. Like, after a while, it just feels like you're trying to move a tank around through a porcelain shop. It's like, or like a China shop. Like, it's not, you have to be, and then Spirit Savior and that kind of stuff. Now, though, they reduced all of the animation lag by a lot, and a lot of people are loving it now. Whereas, I think if you compare it to a lot of other classes, it's still clunkier. But if your reference frame is the old clunkiness and now you get the new clunkiness, now it feels great. But if you go to another class and you come back, it might still feel a little bit. Because if, I'm working on the Lumi now, trying to gear it up, and it's still like, oof, like these skills are not like super, but they're so much better already than they were, so.
Yeah.
It's always like, what you're comparing to, what your reference is. So you played Adele now? How's that feeling?
I don't like it.
Is it the sword spamming and shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently the duration goes up on the swords. Apparently it doubles or something. Someone was saying in the chat. So that should make it less spammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'll get it to 200. I got it to 200, I guess. And probably chill around a little bit here and then see what I want to do in the future. But how don't you like Adele? Well, so being very strong makes it very easy to like a class. But a lot of classes are very strong. So at this point, being strong isn't always just good enough. It could be nice for a little bit, but if you want to play it long term and you really want to commit, then just being very strong isn't enough. Like, how do you get to that point? If a character feels very repetitive and feels very boring, and feels like it needs, like it's sometimes being not challenging makes it that people just don't like it very quickly. Sometimes being more challenging to play and being harder to play actually encourages people more to be invested in it, and it actually makes it more fun. I feel like Adele is not, I don't think, challenging enough for some people, that it's just like, oh, just, spam this one skill and then press the other two and then dash every now and then you're good. Everything just dies all the time. And that's fun for a little bit, but, is it fun to have like as a main or anything? It's definitely really strong. I don't think Relennica here will disagree.
No, it's strong.
Yeah, like, it's ridiculously broken, but that doesn't mean that yeah, exactly. Something like Adina, which is also strong, but requires a lot more thought and a lot more thoughtful input. And I think Ho Young in the beginning was kind of the same as well. It was just like, oh, hold down these two skills and everything just gets destroyed. But with the way that they reworked some of the skills and the way that they reworked the numbers and the combo and the way that they reworked now the energy system, I think that makes it just more interesting to play the class. Yeah, sometimes a low barrier to entry is good to get many people in, but it also is very good to, like if you have a low wall, like the water can get in very easily, but it also can like overflow on the other side very easily. And sometimes building up a larger dam, that it creates a bigger barrier to entry. Sometimes better to keep people in and keep people interested. And I think Adele is very good to get people in, but also very good to let people go again and be like, yeah, okay, I've got the 5th job, I got all of these 300 swords, like, really cool. Let me go back to my other character now. That's kind of what I think is going to happen. But so I hope that those changes and the kind of the mechanic changes for Adele will make her a bit more interesting to play there. Okay, so I'm going to go through because there's
I just have a list of classes I know I will not play.
Okay.
So luckily that rules some things out.
Oh, that's good, because that's how I started with college. Okay, what will I definitely not study? And then go from there. All right, what are the big no-nos? Hit me up.
Big no-nos, Ho Young. Someone's going to hate me in your chat. What was the other one? Mercedes, it really is a big no-no. Like, it does just feel kind of clunky to me. Like you're just flying through the air, and then some of your abilities just stop you right where you are. Shade, I kind of realized I really don't like. I do not know why I started with the Shade with my burn. Mihail, not happening. I didn't like Battle Mage or Wind Archer, or not Wind Archer, Wild Hunter. Didn't really like Demon Avenger, and I actually used to play Demon Slayer a long time ago, and still didn't really like it. It's too button mashy.
Definitely does that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a forwarding hero. I do not want to play hero.
No? Okay.
What else? I'm going through the list. Jet, I won't do.
Are there a lot of these classes? Have you already made them at some point, or
yeah, I've gotten most of them to level 100. Ho Young, I have at level 70, I think, maybe 60 for the Legion. But I just couldn't play it anymore.
But did you delete a lot of your characters, or what?
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
I see.
Like
okay.
the characters I have now, I haven't deleted since I started playing on Reboot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to be like absolutely clear, you need all these characters for your Legion.
Okay.
Don't get rid of any of them. Just get an extra slot and just make an extra character. Never like delete what you've already done. Unless you're really like scraping for slots, scraping for entries. Like all of the progress you make on any character is always valuable. It'll always give you access to links to Legion, and it'll make all your next characters stronger, and will give you a higher chance that the kit gets to shine a bit more, because it actually results in now monsters are getting killed because of the increased damage.
Yeah. I also will not play any of the thieves. The explorer thieves, I should say. I'll play other thief classes.
Okay. Okay, like mobbing. Hmm. And with party debuffs. What does that leave?
I also I don't like face roll classes. The thing I did like about Ilium is like the micromanaging, having to move your orb around, just like active gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck, why does it always end up back in Ark, dude?
I did not like Ark. I was a bad child when Ark came out and played on a private server, but it just felt clunky.
Did you,
I know
it's a bit squishy in the beginning. Did you make sure you have your spell bullets on automatic?
Yeah, I do have them on automatic.
Okay. Because, yeah, I didn't like Ark in the beginning. Like, I agree, like, with your opinion, like, for most of these classes in the beginning, that they're not, like, fun in the beginning. But a lot of them become fun because of how, you know, having to go back through monsters and hit them over and over to kill them, like, that's never fun. But then once you get strong enough and these things starts one-shotting and you can actually just blow through the whole map. So the great thing about Ark is when you're mobbing is that most of your skills that move you also deal damage at the same time. So if you're strong enough, you just move through monsters the whole time and they're just dying behind you as you move through them. And you don't have to, like, go back, make sure you deal the damage. You don't have to move to a monster, then hit them. You can just move through them, destroying them behind them. I think very good bosses because of the survivability and because of the burst damage that they can put out. And you have very good team capabilities with your hyper skill that allows you to double up on all of the buffs of your charges. And you add your normal buffs to yourself, doubling them up, and you add them to your whole team your party as well. Which is nice. It's like 20 IED, 30 boss, 20 weapon magic attack, 50% knockback resistance, 1 rank of attack speed, and 20 weapon and magic attack, I think. For 1 minute every 2 minutes. So it's like 50% uptime, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's why I like that it ticks a lot of boxes. It's not like the best at anything. Like, it's not the best mobber. It's not the best bosser. It's not the best in mobility, although it has pretty good mobility. It's not the best in survivability. It's not the best in key input. It's not the best, you know. But it ranks pretty high in all of these that I think it's flexible enough that you can kind of choose where you go with it, and it'll always kind of land on its feet. That's what I like about it. But it took me a while to get used to Ark. I think most people in the chat probably weren't here back in that time, but I think it took me to get my Ark up to like 220 or 225 when I was really like, I'm actually starting to enjoy this character.
Okay. Also, I do like some classes. I'm just really picky.
Really? You're picky? Okay,
No.
so Evan is your thing probably, right?
I actually did like Evan a little bit when I played back on, I think it was on Kine, back when that was a thing.
Oh yeah, the green K, or what is it? Oh, purple K or something?
Yeah, Purple K.
Yeah.
Like, that was back right when they got their revamps with Iran.
Oh, and then everyone got the frozen gear, right? All the heroes or something?
Yeah, it was the frozen gear.
I remember. Yeah. So Evan is one of those things where mobbing they can get very good. I don't know if they bring a lot to the table bossing wise. Seems like their 3rd, 5th job skill has gotten nerfed like 3 times so far. But Evan is also one of those skills that becomes really enjoyable once your individual sources of damage really start hitting hard, and you can just start, I just install this skill, I install this other skill, and it'll kill, you know? In the beginning, you have to micromanage a lot between all the skills and make sure that you're optimizing between them to make sure that stuff actually dies. But once those individual hits of damage start being boosted enough, you could just rely on them to kill even when you're not around, I guess.
Yeah.
That's when they start really popping off.
I haven't played Mechanic since they came out in like 2010, I want to say, or 2008. I don't know what they're like now. From the videos I've seen, they look clunky when it comes to movement.
So they have like a zoom skill. They have Well, they're getting an extra float skill, right? Like the fly skill.
Oh.
So they have like a jump where you kind of like lock in place, and then you make like a really big jump up, kind of like with the current Rune of Might where you do the up jump.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So that's not super mobile or something. I mean, it helps you with the big verts, but it's kind of clunky. And then you have like a zoom forward that you can use. But so the main way that they clear and everything is that they don't rely on moving. What they rely on is putting summons down in places, and then the summons kill those parts, and then you limit how much of the map you have to cover yourself, so that you don't get any downside from that limited movement. Because you're like a fucking robot. Like the goal isn't that you're just like flying across the map and killing everything. You're like a walking robot, right? So
Yeah.
to counter that, you put robots everywhere. So it takes a while for those robots to really pop off and start hitting. Kind of in the same way like Evan, I guess a little bit. But most classes that have a lot of summons, that are summon heavy, have this. Where in the beginning you just have a lot of summons and a lot of stuff going on and a lot of micromanagement in them. And then once they get really strong, it helps you get crazy rates. And then you're just like basically going around the map refreshing the summons. And that's like the main thing you're doing. You're like playing Factorio or something in the map, trying to make sure that the rates keep coming in.
Yeah.
A lot of classes have this, but some classes completely move away from that as well. Like Corsair has that in the beginning, where they have a bunch of summons that help you clear the map and stuff. But then really late in the game, you just jump around, just destroying everything, and that works
Just
too.
use the octopus shot.
Hmm?
Just use the octopus shot.
Yeah, and then you have the other 5th job skill that just like shoots all around you for a certain duration, and you just jump through the map with that, clearing everything for a little bit.
Okay.
Have you given kind of near some thought?
I mean, I do actually have a Corsair. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's 168, and I did have him as Cannoneer for a while until it got super expensive to change back. So I just switched to to Corsair once and haven't touched it since. But
Okay.
it moved a bit too slow for me,
Mm-hmm.
like attack speed wise. I don't know if there's more buffs for that.
Yeah, so the attack
But
speed is the attack speed early is the main thing that is like a rip with Cannoneer. What they are doing though is the main movement skill. The main mobbing skill early on is they're making that one a bit faster. They already did that, or they're doing that later this update, and they'll help you not feel as clunky early on. But that is definitely the main thing, is that he attacks very slowly. Like he hits very hard in a lot of lines. But his attack speed is very slow. That's definitely the main thing. So getting attack speed +1 is very important there. The mobility through the map, though, I think is really fun. Like the way you can just like sit on your cannon, jump up, and float from one side to the other. I think it's pretty cool. It's also very versatile. You can do like, you can go to the side, you can go double up, double side, upside up. Like you have a lot of options there. And once you get the 5th job, you get to shoot a giant bullet through the map, and you start relying more on your summons as well. And I think it has a very, very solid 5th job. But I guess the downside to a lot of these things, the pattern that I'm seeing, is that a lot of classes definitely have a certain amount of weaknesses right early on. But some of those get alleviated with their 5th job kit, and then just isn't a problem at all anymore. But then some other problems probably arise because there's always ups and downs, or pros and cons, I should say. But sometimes just getting the character further will give you way more information than. There's just characters you'll hate up to 200, and then you get your 5th, and you're like, holy shit, this is really fun. And seem to have a little bit different taste and stuff than I do. Trying to like counter think. For some of these, it'll mainly just be like, you gotta just get them to 200 and unlock the 5th job, I guess.
yeah,
That's why private servers exist, I guess. People wanting to get a taste of the 5th job skill without having to spend all of the time getting to 200 first.
yeah. I basically, whenever I did play on that private server, I played Beast Tamer, Pathfinder, Ark, and then I tried Hero. I didn't like any of them.
I didn't like any of them, okay.
Like,
When is it different?
Pathfinder, I like having a lot of abilities. That's a big thing. I've been looking at Kadena.
Uh-huh. They have a lot, yeah.
She has abilities out the butt. Like an absurd amount of abilities to click.
Yep. Or like Thunderbreaker, something like that, where you're like chaining all the skills together and stuff.
Yeah.
But then your bossing output is maybe not great, and you have, I think, no. Does Thunderbreaker bring anything to the team instead, except for like, speed infusion? Sort of 4 Maple Warrior, speed infusion. What else does it have? A crit damage buff? I think that's to themselves. Why did I give it a 4 here? It's gotta have something. Just the speed infusion isn't worth a 4, I don't think. They could play Blaster. Blaster is supposed to be really fun if you can really master it. But a lot of other classes like Kadena are supposed to be, even with the same or less input, giving you way more result for your efforts. So
yeah. I also have thought about Hayato, but it seems just press a button and then destroy everything.
It feels like because the class doesn't exist in KMS, it feels like just a lot of the kit is kind of there but not really necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like chaining things together better, or reworking the hitboxes of things a little bit more, or to be like, oh, if you're in this map, then these 3 skills are really cool, and if you play in this map, then actually these 3 skills together let you clear the entire map. Something like that, where depending on where you're training and what boss you're in, you can actually have a good situation to use all the skills, but it's usually just the same 4 ones that you kind of just rotate through, and that's it. It's a little bit, I don't know. I guess a little bit disappointing.
Yeah. Also, like, I can live without party utility because I am going to be solo for a large majority until I get to, like, what is it? Lucid, or not Lucid. Lucid's way further. Lotus, that's the name.
Yeah, Lotus Damien. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I like how I take money to do what I do in your chat.
What do you say?
I like how I just pay money to have you do this with me instead of asking in the chat.
Yeah, now the chat is thinking with you. Yeah, I didn't like Ark, yeah. What does he want? Good balance of mobbing and bossing. Predominantly good solo. Lots of buttons to press. Some micromanaging involved. So that would mean higher on the key input, but is very picky. So utility not necessarily high. So key input on the high end. But you didn't like it when it's so lots of buttons, but not the same button over and over, right? Because that's like Demon Slayer, but like different buttons over and over.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Also, Ran hurts my hand.
How's Kinesis for you so far? Because that one seems to hit the boxes quite a bit.
It's been doing pretty good for me. It, like Ilium, it kind of just hit a wall for me while I was leveling it. Not in terms of like the damage or anything like that. It has absurd damage for my level, or at least it feels like it. It just like, I don't know if I got burnt out on it or just played another class and then just went back and didn't like it as much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if your heart's like not in it, if you're not like feeling it, it's like with relationships. Like if there's no spark, it's like yeah, I guess we could keep doing this forever, but like if there's no, we could probably just move on and find something better. But
yeah,
it's more fair for the both of you. Let's see. But in the same perk.
Trust me, I have the same issue in other games.
Good thing this one has 46 classes, right?
Yeah, that's the one upside.
Have you tried? No, wait. This one has not that many skills. Never mind. Yeah, so Kadena, I think, is a good one to put on the list to try.
Okay.
Definitely. Not this one. This one's gonna be too simple.
Like, it doesn't have to be like Blaster or Kadena levels of active key pressing, but a little more complex than like what's its name? Like Shade having like 2 buttons.
Yeah, no,
Occasionally.
no buffs, and then yeah. Although Shade can get very complicated when you're bossing because you gotta pop all your stuff at the right time to make sure that you're immuning a lot of damage, and you can get insane amounts of survivability from that. And it also debuffs bosses to a great extent, helping you bring a lot of party value to the team.
Yeah, I know they have it's a good bind, isn't it?
Yeah, so they have bind, they have a split, and then they have debuffs that work for your whole team, basically letting everyone do a bunch more critical damage. But their mobbing is like very straightforward, very simple, so that can get very repetitive or boring. If you really like involved mobbing, then that's not gonna be for you.
Yeah.
Panda's also pretty straightforward. The mobbing.
I still, no matter what, will not touch Kana with a 100-foot stick.
It's so good though, but yeah, I get it.
I'd rather play something I enjoy than the best class in the game.
Have you tried Xenon?
I did a long time ago.
Because it's got so many skills. Because you have like modes for everything, and
I'm just worried about gearing for that because of the 2 skill. Because it's a hybrid class.
yeah, hybrid and 3 main stats, and but that makes it exciting, no?
But that's gonna take so much more mesos.
It might.
Cubes.
It might. I mean, in the end, everyone's rolling for 3% what they want, right? So
Yeah.
in the end, it kind of becomes the same. It's when everyone's min-maxing. Yeah, but she let me fit him around or set his.
I'm looking at the list too.
Yeah, you're looking at it. No, he said he didn't want to play Jet. Yeah, I was thinking Nightwalker. I don't know if you've tried that one.
I guess that's kind of in line with the Explorer Thieves. Because
It's quite a bit more complicated than like a than a Night Lord. I would also say that Shadower becomes a lot more. I don't know how far you've played Shadower, but especially with the new 5th job skill and everything, you have to like weave in 2 extra attacks between all of your attacks to make sure that you're upkeeping stacks and that you're doing optimal damage, both when mobbing and when bossing. Shadowworker gets pretty demanding to be able to play it properly, and it gets a lot of mobility in its 5th job kit as well. Just gets added on top of everything you already have.
yeah,
Don't know if that sounds good or.
I don't know. I'm usually not a fan of like just like run-of-the-mill thief classes. That's why I'm kind of like. That's why I just won't touch the Explorer Thieves anymore.
The thing is like.
Kind of squishy.
Starts off that way, but ends up actually being. Wait, Shadow becomes pretty tanky, right, guys? Because you just get a lot of chance to avoid and things. Wait, where's Shadower? Yeah, Shadower gets high survivability. Same with Dual Blade, because like high chance to avoid, and you have both have Dark Side, of course. Dark Side allows you to immune damage from falling map hazards, which is basically every single boss in the game later on. All of the damage just becomes ignored. And then you have iframes and reduced damage income, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But it's mainly like Dark Side. Yeah, Dark Side feels like a little bit but when you're early on, it doesn't really do much. But then later on, it gets really, really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Kaiser is probably on the list. Kaiser is very straightforward with just like a few skills mainly. It can be high key input heavy, but like in not in the right way. It's looking for like a lot of attacks to cycle between to like keep it interesting. That's why I was thinking more of characters like Adina and like Ark and like maybe Hoyoung, like maybe Thunderbreaker. But then Thunderbreaker I think lacks bossing for sure. And that's kind of the tricky part. Thunderbreaker does have a lot of lines though, so will be very useful for a boss like Lucid.
Yeah.
And that's where Lumi will be very useful as well, with like all of the lines bouncing between everything.
Luckily, I've watched like the whole "So You Want to Be This Class" series on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So I've seen what a lot of the classes play like.
Mm-hmm. Also in fifth job?
Yeah, I've seen the fifth job videos too.
Mm-hmm. Man, you might just be too picky. Hang on.
I have that problem. I'm a really bad altaholic, so luckily this game benefits from that.
Really bad what?
A really bad altaholic, change characters all the time.
I see. An altaholic. I thought you said alcoholic for a second. I was like, that's a problem for another show. Okay. I ain't touching that one. I guess thing with Phantom is that you can be like anything you want. So if you're feeling like you want to do something else, you can just equip different skills and do something else. Maybe that flexibility could be useful.
I've thought about Phantom a lot. I don't know how they are leveling, because like leveling's also a big deal because I don't have a ton of time to play.
Yeah. It's really like in waves. So there's a bunch of skills you can steal. So when when one of the skills that you can steal does very well in the map that you happen to be training in, and you're strong enough to kill quickly with that skill, you can actually get really good rates. But then if you don't have a skill that fits the map that you're, like, you know, the map around your level particularly well, or you're just not strong enough to kill then your rates can go like very bad. So it's like very hit or miss with Phantom.
Yeah.
I know, like in the beginning, they just steal the Pathfinder skills, and they can just train very quickly, basically at the same speed as a Pathfinder, so it's like pretty straightforward. And then later on, well, the fact that for every situation, you could just equip a bunch of different skills and have that work in your favor, and you can use hyper skills from other classes, and maybe the flexibility there can also help you, like, if you're not in the mood for this one thing, you can just do this other thing instead, and you have that flexibility within one character. That might be an option. And then, depending on that, you could go for a lot of party utility if you want to, or you could go for none at all and just go for solo utility as well.
Yeah. Aren't they very reliant on however they buff or nerf the explorers?
Yeah, so the main downside is like with Xenon, with Phantom, and then to an extent as well with all the classes that just don't exist in KMS, is that the balancing is always going to err on the side of caution, which means that you're more likely to get a little bit over-nerfed than to get really lucky. And if you do get really lucky, it's like for a short duration, and then you get nerfed again after that. Yeah. Once you have access to other classes' skills, it's always very tricky to balance.
Yeah.
So that's that is a downside for sure. But it is a character that if you like it, then that's not going to matter. That shouldn't matter like enough to want to or not want to play the character. But yeah, also very tanky. Yeah, lots of iframe. If you equip all the iframes that you can steal, you can just be invulnerable the whole time. Basically, you can take the paladin skill that just is an iframe for 30 seconds, Sacrosanctity, I think. And you just don't get hit by anything. Your own skills that you're getting. There's a lot of invincibility in there. Yeah, so having the flexibility might be a cool thing. So that might be one to put on the list as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if with Ilium, I don't know. I think like with Ilium, maybe just equipping it and getting stronger with it might also work for you. It's just, I don't think it's ever going to be like a bossing powerhouse though. I don't have enough experience, so I feel uncomfortable going into deep, but Yeah, if only the bosses you've done so far is like Horntail and such. And you have like a
Yeah,
limited
the
experience too.
Magnus, that easy Magnus
Easy,
at that.
yeah. Hey, the step from easy to normal Magnus always surprises me again on a new character. Got some characters that just one shot hard, and then you try to go from easy to normal on a new character. It's like, oh damn, I actually need to like upgrade. This
Yeah.
guy is way harder. Yeah. Um, you shut all these down already. Oh, you never mentioned Marksman, dude.
Oh god, no joke. I have thought about Marksman.
Do it. No, that one's no. If you like rotating between like a lot of skills, that's not gonna happen. That's not Marksman. No. I guess Bowmaster rotates between their fifths.
What are their fifths? That's the one I haven't seen.
Oh god, one charges some fire arrows that they shoot for like extra damage. One does like arrows like rain down somewhere and they leave like an after image, and then monsters that walk into it take like damage over time. Where are my bowmasters in the chat? You fell asleep playing 173 Marksman? Arrow rain, yeah, that's the one, right? Yeah.
Air rain, after image shot, and then I don't know the others.
Fire arrows. No. Well, so one of the things could be to just taste more and just build more Legion and Links. I think as a general advice is just good. And just getting everything at like at least to 140. And if something is like, oh, this is actually interesting, I'm enjoying this, then just keep going until you no longer enjoy it. And then, like you said, like sometimes going back to a character, you can be like, oh, I thought I would like this one, but I like it less. But sometimes the opposite will be true, where you come back to a character, you put your Links and your Legion back, and you're like, oh, actually, I like this one more now than I thought before. And maybe you're just doomed to like forever bounce between characters. But if you do that, then you'll just have to you're gonna have to commit somewhat to one character if you want to get to Lucid levels, of course.
Yeah.
But that can be a decision that you make like months from now. It doesn't have to be one that you make this week. Of course, like a Terra Burn gives you a huge start in the right direction.
Yeah.
I don't know, having like even if you do Phantom and you end up only getting the 210, you still have the Link skill that you can rely on. You can give extra critical rate to all your other characters, makes all of them stronger, gives you a better chance to, get a little bit further with those in the same amount of time that you would maybe take to get a little bit annoyed with a character. You can get further, maybe taste a little bit more of the hyper skills. That's one thing also, like some hyper skills are like really bad. I remember playing Evan and getting the giant dragon and being like, oh my god, it's so cool, and then he doesn't do anything. Like it's just hanging there, and it hits like, it does less than what is it, the dark flare for thieves? Like I don't even know why it's in the game.
I'm looking at the sheet and just looking at all the classes that have high key input.
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically just right now looking at Thunderbreaker, Kadena. I am looking at Bishop because I do like healing, even though I don't know how much they actually heal.
Well, they basically prevent people from needing heal, like shells and doors to prevent incoming damage for people. And then that skill that I mentioned that gives them extra damage buff, I think that one heals them as well. And you have healing in your main attack, Angel Ray. You have like two modes, and one is like your solo mode, and then the other, the party mode, heals like surrounding teammates if it hits a monster. So you can like switch between those modes and stuff.
Yeah.
Thunderbreaker gets stuck in combos and dies. I think that can definitely happen when you're bossing. I mean, when you're mobbing, I think it's really cool to be able to like weave between all of the skills, but I think there's a very stark contrast between mobbing and bossing for that class. I wonder if they're gonna do something to the class to make it a little bit easier to boss on, like they did with the Nightwalker, with the not having to, move around too much in the jumping and stuff.
Yeah. Does Wind Archer just have like one button to press the entire time?
God, kind of, yeah. And then later on in the game, you have like the big tornado, and you gotta be careful for your shield and everything. But yeah, it's mainly just one button the whole time, yeah.
And then don't they have the most buffs in the game?
Um, they start off that way, but like in the end game, everyone has a lot of buffs because you have all of the decent skills, all of the fifth jobs. I think some classes probably surpass them. Like one of their buffs also is, for example, is like attack speed. But if you're only just pressing that main skill, you don't even need to use your booster, right? Because it's a fixed amount of attacks anyway. So some of those at least that one buff like disappears. And then, but other characters will like get also like decent sharp eyes, decent speed infusion. So they will gain 2 where they lose 1. So then the difference becomes 3 different. I don't know. Like everyone has a lot of buffs in the end game. There's a lot of characters like I know Angelic Buster, Ark, Demon Slayer, and there's probably some other ones. Every time you're bursting, you're prepping about 12 to 13 skills, and it's yeah. But then in your burst, then you're like, But for Angelic Buster and for Demon Slayer, then you're still like mashing skills even in your burst. At least for Ark, you're just holding down one button most of the time.
Yeah.
In the like all of the prep is before, and then you can like go hard and you press like 1 or 2 skills. You can also animation cancel in the burst if you want to. That's mainly doable if you're like shorter, like a lower ping. And the lower your attack speed is, the easier it is as well. But it's one of those things where if you make one mistake, you actually lose out on a lot of damage. So you wonder if it's worth going for the risk almost.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressing the same button. That kind of is. I don't know if you thought about Dawn Warrior.
I've thought about it. Aren't they absurdly good bossers?
They're just really solid all around. Very high baseline, like right out the gate. The only downside is like they don't have a lot of skills. And the ones they do, they kind of like cycle between them automatically. Like you don't have to really min-max that.
Yeah.
You have to time your dashes. Making sure that you don't die and that your iframes are timed properly is like a really tricky thing to get down. So that could be a high skill cap on it. And you can get MP problems, but they're pretty straightforward. But they're like also like very good at both. Demon Slayer buffs. Yeah, there's so many. It's also very particular because one is an iframe, but also is like your final damage buff, and you have to keep your stacks up. You have to build your Demon Fury. It's a lot of stuff going on. I don't know if I would definitely keep Kinesis on a list. I think they'll become very fun. It's a very particular playstyle, and it's definitely not mainstream what most people want to see. You do have like a bind backup, which can also always be useful. And you can play it in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different skills that can be useful in different situations. I don't know. I think that could definitely be one that you end up liking later on, especially when you have access to the 5th job.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe Kana and Hayato get like a really cool 4th, 5th job skill that makes you like, oh shit, maybe now I gotta try it. But you definitely need to, if you're planning on going that far, you definitely need to look into how good they end up being, because how shitty or how annoying it is to get to 200 can almost have no effect on how good they end up being, because you end up becoming so much stronger, and some playstyles just completely change when you get the 5th job, and it's not even recognizable as the level 160 that you once hated.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kinesis seems hard to boss with, but that brings its own challenge that I think our caller here would enjoy, I think.
I swear I've spent hours on this list before this. I guess I can narrow it down to like a few classes I will play. I'm like changing the colors on the sheet on a copy.
Mm-hmm.
And I can quickly get a list of like what.
You could do it on the links one as well, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Because then that immediately includes, you can see like where they land on the priority list, and then that can help you out in the order of training them.
Luckily, I do remember a lot of the link skills.
Oh yeah.
I am not touching marksman at all.
So much crit rate though.
I know, but you have to move off your keyboard to your mouse for their 5th job skill.
It's beautiful. You have to click,
That
and
was
then
weird.
at least now the codex is gone. In the past, when I used that on Ark to like shoot him down, and then the Ark codex pops up with like the animation and with the drop table and everything. Oh god, it was so dumb. And then you can't close it because like the button to close it is also the mouse click, so you end up shooting in the air trying to close the window.
Yeah.
It's special. It was a special thing. But people like it though. They're like, "Oh, is he playing Duck Hunt? What's going on? Is he on No Scope 360?" It's it's a special thing. That new 5th job skill looks pretty cool for them though. I think that'll help them finally have some burst, but probably not to the point where they become powerhouses, but
Yeah.
become a little bit more a force to reckon with. All right, so what do we have on the list? We have still Ilium and Kinesis are still on the list.
Yep.
We added Kadena. We added maybe Thunderbreaker.
Yeah.
Who else?
I've got this. I'm almost at the bottom of the list. I've been going through this. Blaze Wizard's ping reliant, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like spamming the same skill. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
like
what I
in the yeah. They do have more skills, of course, like that they can use. But it's also a very like specific class. Not too many people play. It does have some utility. I don't know.
Oh yeah. No.
Oh young, no.
Okay, I hit the bottom of the list. So I basically split it into red is no, blue is maybe, green is a contender.
Okay.
So the ones that I'm really looking at are Phantom, Kadena, and Thunderbreaker.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones that I'm maybe on are Ilium. Why did I put Mechanic? Ilium, Shadower, Paladin, all 3 mages, Explorer mages,
Mm-hmm.
and then Dawn Warrior and Hayato.
Dawn Warrior and Hayato. Okay.
So we got rid of half the classes.
Well, that narrows it down a little bit.
Makes it much easier.
Yeah, and then as you go through them for your links in your Legion anyway, some will just immediately go into the one group, and some will go into the other one, and then that will narrow it down more and more. But as you do that, you'll I feel like you'll give yourself more room to enjoy classes, because yeah, like with Adele, like just being able to kill everything quickly doesn't necessarily mean that you'll like it, but it does give you more of a chance to like it.
Yeah.
Really enjoying how a class works, but you can't kill things for shit is also kind of horrible. So
yeah, that's probably my biggest thing, is liking how it plays and then having enough damage to kill. Like, I can enjoy a playstyle and do complete shit damage.
Yeah. It's more enjoyable, but it's never like 10-0. It's always like it's not that one thing is like 100% important and the other thing is a 0. It's always a combination of the two.
Yeah. I'm also open to Luminous and Evan. I didn't do those two.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little lower on the list. I know Paladin, don't they just switch between 3 buttons, like the Electric Charge, Holy Charge, and Fire and Ice Charge?
That is true. Well, now, I wonder if that 4th, 5th job skill is gonna stay the same, where you like throw the hammers around.
Yeah.
That looks pretty funny, but you have to like save up charges to do that. but it looks kind of fun. But a lot of their mobbing though is just summoning the hammers around you and then jumping through things with the hammers. That can take like a lot of involvement away again.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I'm concerned about for you.
I know with Fire Poison Mage, you pretty much just put clouds everywhere, and then what's that ability? The one that basically just explodes them all.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw that their bossing is pretty much just catalyze.
Wait, who's bossing? Sorry, I was just gonna...
Fire Poison.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a... Fire Poison could be... Fire Poison could be an option. I think you have like a lot of mobility as well within... Not mobility as with your character, but like a lot of flexibility, I guess, within the mages as well.
Yeah.
That you can switch. You can switch all your gear over, and then the only downside is, of course, your nodes, that you gotta redo that. But having the ability to be a supportive mage, be more of a solo bossing mage, and be more of a mobbing mage might be also like part of the flexibility that we were talking about, like the Phantom brings. That might also be helpful with this one.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna add that to like the strong contender being a explorer mage.
Yeah, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea.
For the most part, doesn't Hayato have just like one giant slashing attack that you just run around the map on?
That's how I've played it. I know that there's probably way more levels of way more levels of complexity that you can play a Hayato on. I just did like the main attack thingy, and then the full map attack every 10 seconds, and like that's how I played it, and that's how I got to 200. But there's probably a bunch of shit that you could be doing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Fire Poison new skill looks interesting too. Yeah.
I actually didn't see that new skill. The one in KMS, right?
Yeah, you make poison around yourself, and then you hit up to a few monsters near you with the poison as well as you activate it. And as you teleport near things, you poison them, or if things walk near the things that are already poisoned, they get poisoned too, and then that explodes and that kind of like spreads.
Okay.
So as you're moving through the map more, things just end up dying and dying and dying more, basically.
Yeah. I've also narrowed it down even more.
Cool.
So basically, it's Kinesis, Thunderbreaker, Kadena, Explorer Mage, and Phantom, and then maybe back to Ilium or playing Evan.
Yeah. Well, that narrows it down for 46 at least.
Oh yeah, we're down to like
5,
7.
6, 7. Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking of Explorer Mage as just one giant class that I can just switch between.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it'll cost you some money, right? Every time you're switching, you notice that with the with the Corsair.
Oh yeah, it gets expensive.
But yeah, it's even more expensive to train a whole new character and gear it up as well, right? Like that's also very expensive. So yeah, most people do is just Ice Lightning it up to when they really aren't leveling much anymore.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then yeah, if you're solo bossing, Fire Poison. If you're team bossing, Bishop. Just the value of all the Bishop stuff. Door, Benediction, the Angel, Shell, that kind of stuff. It's just a really good utility value.
Yeah. Okay, I narrowed it down to 4. I narrowed it down to 4 now.
Ooh, they're dropping like flies.
In Mage.
Well, you're counting the Explorer.
Yeah,
Explorers as
Mage
one.
is just full class.
Yeah. Okay. Are you trying to narrow it down to 1 right now?
I'm trying to narrow it down to 2.
2.
Kinesis, because I already have one, I'm just going to say no to that because I can just go back to that when I want.
Mm-hmm. Same with Ilium?
Yeah.
So, wait, so is Phantom still on the list?
No, I actually got rid of Phantom.
Okay. Rip Phantom. You're dead
Yeah.
now.
He's dead to me.
Explorer mages, or Evan?
I got rid of Evan, just remembering how it played.
Rip heroes. Okay.
I'm
Wait.
also on the fence about Thunderbreaker, even though I know they have insane mobbing in mobility.
Uh huh. Yeah. The question is that fun enough to like overcome how that will play during bossing?
Yeah, because what is their bossing? 5?
The bossing is just. Oof. It was tricky. I tried to do
Isn't it
some
just
stuff.
Anchor? Do they still have that ability?
Anchor? Oh, like the anchor that like sucks in monsters. That's Cannoneers have that. They have the big trident that like shows up and it like zaps everything nearby.
Oh yeah, like the one that's on a whip that they just chuck into the ground. This is probably a long time ago.
Does Thunderbreaker have that? I mean, I know Cannoneer like shoots out an anchor that like lands and then
Yeah.
the things like come out. Am I still in the Cannoneer? Yeah. What is it like this one? No. These one?
Let's
Yeah,
see.
this
I'm
one.
looking at the class ability list. They do not have that. Why do I remember that ability?
Thunderbreaker main skill is anchor. Yeah, well they have like an attacking skill that's an anchor. Yeah, but you basically it's more like a fan. It's like a sprite in the shape of an anchor that you smash things with. It's not like a physical anchor that you put on the.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. It's called Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thunderbolt or Bolt.
They do have that. Yeah.
And then I'm assuming they're. I mean, I gotta look at 5th job because that's probably where a lot of their attacks are.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen much gameplay for Thunderbreaker, so that probably doesn't help.
Well, maybe that's a good thing, right? Because you didn't want to play classes that everyone's playing.
Yeah.
That's the downside, right? You're like, oh, I want to. If a character is played by everyone, then everything is kind of more figured out. And then if the class is not played by too many people, also for my grids and everything, it's like difficult to get input because there's just not too many people playing it. So you have to really find the people doing this.
You know what? I'm gonna narrow it down to 2.
All right.
It's Kadena and Mage.
Okay. Okay.
Like I can bypass the active buttons just for that utility. And I know they have kind of interesting play styles, except Ice Lightning. Isn't that just throw lightning bolts?
Lightning bolts. You have your summons that you have to worry about. One summon just sticks with you. The other one kind of like follows you at a certain distance. So you got to like teleport around, make sure that you stay in range if you want to keep that one. And then you have the big ice ball as well that ends up getting quite strong later on as you get stronger. And you have a longer teleport. So your mobility is like a little bit better, I think, than with the other mages. Just slightly. I don't know if it's enough to really give you a huge edge. Oh, I guess it is. Yeah, I guess it is.
I guess.
But it's like, yeah, that's definitely the easiest mobber. I liked Fire Poison for mobbing too early on, but I don't know how good / bad it gets after a little bit.
Yeah. And then I pretty much won't be playing Bishop to level, will I?
You could in the beginning, because Holy Symbol gives you a lot of extra experience. But the mobbing later is not good. I don't know how my mom got it to 251. Without totems or Kishin, I don't know how she did it. But she doesn't even know how she did it anymore. She played Kana after that and then went back and was like, holy shit, what is it? I can't move. I can't kill anything. How did I get to this point? Like, I don't know, Mom. The lesson of the day is to play all the classes. Yes, build your Legion, build your Links. Play everything a little bit. But, yeah, you do want to have a general plan and have a general thing that you're committing to, for sure.
Yeah. Man,
Right.
This is actually a choice.
Are you happy with the narrow downing?
Very much so.
Okay. Do you know which one you're gonna burn?
I'm probably gonna burn. I'm gonna say Mage, just because I feel like Kadena can just blow through things
Yeah.
and level up faster.
Yeah, I would have said the same thing, I guess. Yeah. I think the fun part about the mages are a little bit more straightforward leveling them up, and the more the complexity is in switching between them, but you'll probably just level up as one anyway. And with Kadena, I think it's more fun figuring out all of the skills and all the combos, and having to go a little bit more slowly to figure that out, I think might be a better idea to get to learn a character more.
Yeah.
Helps you figure out like what combos are good, where do you want to place your keys, which skills are kind of not very useful at all, which ones are super useful, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Definitely.
Right, sounds like we made some progress.
Definitely. I've heard that
yeah.
the mages also they can be really good against Lucid. I may be wrong.
Who?
Against Lucid?
With Cadenas?
No, mages.
Oh, mages. Well, they're so. I guess Ice Lightning has a decent amount of lines for the golems. Your team, specifically for normal Lucid, your team composition is going to be very important. You have to be able to get rid of the golems fast enough. If you don't, everyone starts getting blocked. All of your damage starts getting soaked up by the golems, and you just end up getting crushed by the dragons, and that just ends up happening. Yeah, so having extra lines there will be helpful, and because you have a lot of summons, those summons are constantly dishing out lines as well. Fire Poison more has like a bunch of DOTs that you have to manage properly, but like Bishop will be very useful. Yeah, the shells, the doors, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And aiding the burst with Benediction, as long as everyone's like nice and grouped up in the middle, because you have the bombs and everything. If you can use your shell there to make sure that your team doesn't die to all of the bombs, that's very nice. Super useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you will need rope lift in phase 2, but a lot of people do. Trying to get on those platforms is not always the easiest thing to do.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you'll be viable for sure. These are like all viable picks, yeah.
Sweet.
All right.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah, grats on your picks. It's always like difficult to find that. Sometimes more choice is worse.
Yeah.
Sometimes having just 2 options and having to pick one of the 2 is easier, but
yeah, and thanks for being patient. You have the patience of a saint.
That's what some people mentioned in the chat. I mean, yeah, we're trying to help you forward, and some people have more opinions that kind of guide where you want to go and where you can go. So trying to accommodate.
Yeah, it's funny because at the beginning of this, I did not even think about mages whatsoever.
Yeah, I think having the flexibility will allow you to switch it up a little bit if you feel the need to. And then sometimes you'll look at how much it costs and it's like, well, maybe I don't really have the need to that much.
Yeah.
And then it'll force you to kind of like tough it out.
Yeah. And I can just look at all your other guides for gearing up to Lucid, which is a long ways away.
Yeah, it's a long ways away. So mainly the dailies and the weeklies grid. That'll help you a lot to make sure that you're not missing out on progress of things that are more slow processes. As you, if you add some of those dailies to your list, and you can see what they're on the list for, and then you can decide, like, is this something that I need or not, and then skip it if you don't need it. If you do need it, go for it.
Yeah.
And then just to keep track of if you're in general, like in the realm where you need to be, keep an eye on the progression, the general progression grid, and see if you're somewhat on the level. It's mainly going to be a lot about boost nodes and arcane power. Those are like the backbone of your damage. And then where your star forcing and cubing and flames are at is like a general general guidance, but that's something you look into later if you're not cutting it with all the other stuff that's out there yet. And if you build more Legion, that'll just make all of it just a little bit easier to round out your kind of like peripheral damage things, like critical rate, critical damage, boss damage, IED. Like a lot of those sources can come from there, and can just make everything just a bit simpler, and you can get to clearing certain content without needing to be as heavily invested meso-wise yet.
Yeah. Also, I guess a quick question: how good is Mage with CRA?
You have a bind on your Ice Lightning. You have full single target on Bishop. I guess as Ice Lightning and as Bishop, you won't really be looking to solo. You could solo as a Bishop, I guess. In general, it depends on how strong you are. You're going to be looking for like a struggle party or like a 3 or 4 man party.
Yeah.
Depending on how, if you're only trying CRA at like 220 or something, then you might be able to solo immediately. But, I mean, yeah, they're definitely viable. You're gonna have to. How far are you familiar with like the mechanics of the bosses themselves?
I mean, I'm assuming there's more than just normal Rudibus mechanics.
Yeah, way more. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little familiar with them. I'm definitely gonna watch a lot of videos and get more familiar with it.
Yeah, I've got some YouTube videos. One of the best ways to get familiar is also just to go in and just get killed, and then just try to figure out what killed you. That's usually a good way, and then try to play around that, and then figure out what else kills you. Basically, you're just trying to make every mistake 2 to 3 times, and then learn from them, and then hopefully move past them, and then feel confident enough to be able to carry your own weight, and then look around for a party that feels the same way, and then group up. If you're going to be terror burning and you're going to be getting those bonus nodes and everything, you're probably looking pretty quickly, as long as you get the mechanics down, looking to just 2-man it, maybe 3-man, but you're not probably never going to need like a full 6-man struggle. But yeah, that's going to depend on what level you are and how strong you are by the time you do start trying, of course.
Yeah.
If he quits Mage, he gets a Link skill. True. The sad thing is, though, if you quit Mage, you only get a third of a Link skill. You need to, you need to get all 3 leveled to link it all into one character.
And then if anything, I just go Kadena.
Yeah. Kadena is also a very good Link skill, so you can't go wrong with any of these picks, honestly. There were a lot of picks in the past that were like, if you don't like it and you end up quitting it, then the Link skill or the Legion, like, it doesn't matter either. They're just like Legion levels, which is kind of, yeah. But now every class has either a good Legion or a good Link skill or a combination. Like, there's very few characters that actually are not useful, so,
Yeah. Well, sweet.
Yeah. I'm glad we could, yeah, no problem. Glad we could help you forward.
I'm going to be burning that in 4 hours?
Oh yeah, you gotta wait until the character is done.
Yep.
Well, now you have a plan, so gives you something to look forward to. Definitely. Oh yeah, usually the mages have like a lot of critical rate, so having your critical damage in place will help you do a lot of damage early on.
That's good.
Yep. All right, I'll see you in chat.
Sounds good.
All right, best of luck.
Thanks.
And burn it up in a little bit, okay?
I will.
All right, see ya.